National TV, Steve.
Here's what it is. FINK. It's spelled correctly.
He's flocking around here.
Have a 7:20 kick this weekend, possible 7:25 with a 5-minute slide, depending on the Texas Tech and TCU game that goes before us.
We'll get the
ESPN2,
slide.
So. A chance for a slide if you watched Tech play the other night. Coach Muschamp.
Appreciate you being here. Got Tennessee Saturday night here at Williams-Brice Stadium. You watch their football team, and Butch Jones and his staff have done a fantastic job recruiting. They are a big, physical, fast football team. They certainly looked the part in what you're supposed to look like. Defensively, Bob Shoup, their defensive coordinator's done a great job in our league for a long time. Did a great job at Vanderbilt through the years, and Derek Barnett's a guy, number 9, that obviously jumps out off the film as far as the way he plays. He's an extremely good rusher, but really plays the run extremely well. Strong at the point of attack. A really good football player. He got in a zone pressure against A&M and carries Josh Reynolds down the field. It was pretty. He made some money on that play, but that was impressive. But they're very active up front. They run extremely well and they play hard offensively. Josh Dobbs is a 3-year starter in our league and has won a bunch of ball games and does a great job orchestrating their offense. And Jalen Hurd's a guy that runs extremely hard, tough, physical, competitive. He's going to fight for every yard. We're going to have to get a bunch of hats around the ball and gang tackle this guy, and you got to finish on this guy. He's a very competitive runner, very talented outside. Malone and Jennings and Tyler Bird and Josh Smith and the tight ends, Kroom and Wolf, those guys do a really good job with their package of what they do. They're big up front. So we got our work cut out for us. They're very talented with the specialists and returners. The last 4 games for them has probably been as tough a run that I've seen in a long time in this league of who they played, where they played them. And obviously they were off this past week. But they got a really good football team. I thought we had a really good practice today. Our guys had a really good focus. This game, the last 4 years, has been decided by 11 points. So it's a closely contested game, and certainly looking forward to having a night game here at Williams-Brice like we always used to. And I'll open it up for any questions.
Raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you, David. First one.
Will, are you comfortable with Jake running a lot of plays? Do you have a lot of designed runs for him, or you guys pretty much want him to sit in the pocket and throw?
No, I feel good with that, David. Jake's a much better athlete than you probably give him credit for. He can run. He will run. We do have some things that in the read game that certainly that he can run. We had some zone reads called the other day. Just they were give reads. So we have a good comfort level with him running.
Have you noticed dividends from 2 weeks now of like what you call the fastball work?
I think so, Josh. So certainly we'll see much more about how far we've come Saturday night. But I feel like that going against each other more, it helps this week because there's a lot of similarities schematically on both sides of the ball. And so that helps you because it's so important for you to expose looks for your players to prepare them mentally for the game. In order to do that, you got to rep it. But now when you're able to sit down and have a common language talk about offense and defense, about what they do and some of the things that we do, because there's a lot of carryover schematically on both sides of the ball. So we went together probably more today than we have all season as far as eliminating some scout reps and going strictly good on good work and fastball work, and that's how you get better. This is a developmental game, and you've got to be able to do that, and especially our youth. I made a mistake by not doing it early in the season.
Let's go over here to
After having to juggle things around on the offensive line for the first few games, how nice is it, and can you quantify now that you've had, 3 games in a row with the same 5?
Right. Well, I think that there's no question the secondary and the offensive line need to be the closely tied units as far as your football team is concerned, because generally a mistake the other band is playing. So that's not good. And you got to be the communication and understanding, leverage and shades and how different people play you. And that communication is critical, and those guys have continued to improve through those 3 weeks. Donnell practiced today. He's 7 weeks he hasn't practiced, and he's still a little gimpy on the ankle, but hopefully he'll improve tomorrow. And, Blake Camper played Saturday, did some nice things. DJ Park continues to come on for us. So we just got to continue to build that group.
Well, winning a quarterback's first game is a pretty heady thing. Has Jake responded these couple of days in a way that you wanted him to?
Well, sure. I mean, I think that one of his talents is preparation and his, workmanlike attitude. I asked him today on the field, I said, how much film did you get in yesterday? He was about 2.5 hours. I mean, that's what you want your quarterback to do. And Brandon as well. Watch those guys and Perry, and they're learning from Perry, who prepares the right way. And those guys understand what it takes to play quarterback in our league. It takes preparation. It takes a little bit more at that position opposed to some other positions. So those young men get it, and they've had a great example with Perry Orth in front of them.
Coach, you mentioned with DJ Park and Stanley and Camper back, who makes the final decision on starting those guys? Is that Kurt, is that you, or is that Sean?
Well, we'll have a conversation with Sean. I will, but I make the final call on all positions as far as what we're going to do. But certainly listen for his input today. Donnell, he needs to move a little better. I mean, but it's 7 weeks. He hasn't taken a snap. So, but I know one thing: he's tough, and to be able to do what he's done is pretty remarkable. They thought he would be out for the season when the injury occurred. And he's been able to get back, so it's a testament to the toughness that young man has.
Well, looked like there was a lot of excitement and enthusiasm on the sideline Saturday, especially after Jake threw touchdown passes. Have you noticed if that has carried over through the team during practice this week?
Really, from the most part, since we've started our season, other than Wednesday of UMass, probably our guys practice well. It's a process to learn how to practice the right way. When you want to go good on good, to be able to stay off the ground and to get great looks, get good competitive edge looks, and guys get after each other, but they understand how you practice the right way, and it can really help you as a tackler and playing blocks and finishing blocks on offense. But again, I think that our guys have always approached practice the right way for the most part. We had a really bad practice last Wednesday, and other than that, I've been pretty pleased with our practice tempo and our approach to practice. Certainly, it can always improve, and you're never satisfied. But I wouldn't attribute that to Jake. I'd attribute that to our football team and our staff.
You mentioned his preparation and how much film he watches, and the fact also that his father worked at an SEC school, so he's been around it for a while, that he'll be a little more prepared going up against an SEC defense for the first time?
I wouldn't say that. I think that I've coached a bunch of guys that dads were lawyers, and they prepared well too. So I think that there's a little bit much made of that as far as those things are concerned. But his preparation is really good, as well as Brandon and the rest of our group.
Is there a sweet spot for first down play distribution, and where are you guys in that regard?
Well, I think that we're always wanting to be, efficient on first down. Offensively, we want to be playing 2nd and 6 or less. You always want to be, you don't want to be 2nd and 7 plus. Same thing defensively. You're always looking at first down efficiency. We'd like to be balanced and be down the middle 50-50 based on run and pass. I don't know off the top of my head what our exact numbers are. But that's, to me, it's always about balance in what you're doing.
So on first down, you'd like to be 50-50 by the time the season's over?
No doubt. And to me, in a game, I'm always looking for first down shots down the field, because that's where, most teams are going to try and create, most defenses are going to try and create the run box, and generally that's where you're going to get your 50-50 opportunities down the field. So that's one of the very few things I say on game day on offense is, let's take a shot here. Let's stretch the field here.
David Williams said it was humbling to watch a freshman like Jake Bentley go from third string to first string. In that aspect, what kind of progress have you seen from David?
I thought David played well Saturday. He did some nice things and has continued to improve his practice habits and understanding it's a daily process and going about your business and hustle's a habit, running through contact's a habit. It's just something you form and you do all the time. You don't snap your fingers on game day and it all of a sudden occurs. And I think that there's been a lot of examples on our team of guys that have continued to stay the course and worked extremely hard and have played extremely well on game day. And certainly there's been some very good examples of that.
Well, sticking with the running game, how much of a step forward did you think it took on Saturday? And, as good as Tennessee is on defense, their run defense is not as up to par as some of their other aspects. Do you think that's an area you might be able to exploit this weekend?
Well, I think you always got to stay balanced, especially with a guy like Barnett. He can change the game, so we've got to account for him and everything. And when you stay balanced, it's very difficult on a defense because you're sitting there thinking in your mind, okay, I want to run a pass pressure and run an overload. Well, if they run it the other way, we got a problem. So that's why, to me, it's so important to be balanced in what you do.
Back, Mike.
Will, David, before today, just a couple hours ago, said to us that you had come in and talked about the past couple games against Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And he said that you normally don't do that. You normally don't look at the past and bring up, series losses. Was there a reason why you did that, and how important is that for the players to understand?
Well, I think it's always important, especially in our league, with the tradition that we have in our league with some of our yearly opponents, and certainly being an Eastern Division opponent, and stressing to our guys of how important it is to win the Eastern games. And I just went back and just, in my mind, knowing our league very well, and I go back through the Rolodex in my mind of thinking through games and remembering how close these games have been contested. I looked it up and saw, which I thought was right, it's 11 points in 4 years. And what's going to make a difference from our last 3 games is our preparation, and that was a motivation for our guys today, is about how you practice on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, and how your mental preparation, your physical preparation for the game to make a difference, so that those 11 points are going a different way for us. And that's really why I brought it up as much as anything, just to show, hey, a play or two here or there, that's a different ball game, and we feel a little different about the situation. The bottom line is Tennessee's won the last 3 years. So we got to do something to change it.
When you were talking to us the other night detailing Jake's journey from high school to here, did I hear you right that he actually had to graduate from a high school in Spartanburg?
Yes.
That just because the high school in Alabama just didn't work out with them, or?
That's right. You have to graduate from a high school, so that was what we were able to work out, and some high schools will do that. Some high schools will allow you to graduate mid-year. Some high schools do not want you to do that, so it's based on, whatever regulation that those schools follow, as far as those things are concerned.
And also, Tennessee's been so racked by injuries this year. Does that lead to any unknowns for you in terms of who's going to be on the field and game planning against them for this weekend?
Well, again, they've been really hit hard by injuries, and certainly has affected them, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But, again, you watch the tape, and if a guy's up, he's up. We kind of prepare for all personnel matters as far as the guys that we feel like, could change the game for you in those sort of situations. So, again, we'll prepare more schematically for our players, and then as coaches in our minds, if there's a personnel issue, then we'll discuss it on game day.
Well, I don't believe Kamara is going to play this week, but they still have Hurd. They still have Dobbs as a running guy.
Yeah.
You guys have had a couple issues against the run the past 2 games. How do you try to shore that up and keep that Tennessee running attack up?
Well, they're very effective running it, and the 4 the young tailbacks come in and done a nice job as well. So, no, we haven't. I don't think that they're not going to run it based on our run defense. So I think we'll see some runs, but again, continuing to play blocks, to understand formations, understand run fits, understand keeping your head in your gap, and all the basic fundamental things we try and talk to our guys about in the run game. I do think we've made some strides. Certainly, we'll have a great test here Saturday night.
Was it your call to have Rocky Top played during morning workouts and some of the other stuff around the players?
Yep.
And why?
Well, sometimes you get tired of listening to it, and you don't want to listen to it on game day. So I told our guys, play good, and you won't have to listen to it. They're still going to play it, though.
After facing that UMass team that blitzed with so many kind of exotic looks, is Tennessee a little bit more conventional and reliant on that front four?
Yeah, Bob, he'll overload you in some situations, and he is a little more sound, very probably similar schematically to us a little bit as far as his approach to mixing pressure and playing coverage and conventional fronts. He does a nice job with the movements up front to give you some issues in the run and the pass game, but they're a little more conventional. Mm-hmm.
Back there.
Are you at all concerned about playing Jake against maybe an SEC caliber defense, and what's going to be the main difference between last week and this week in terms of the defense that he's actually going to have to face?
I mean, regardless of the situation, we have a lot of confidence in Jake and anybody that we put on the field, regardless of who they are or the position is concerned. And Tennessee's got a good football team. I mean, you got to give these guys credit, and they've got a dominating player, in my opinion. And Barnett, I think he's a guy that can change games. We need to account for him. But they've recruited extremely well, like I said, to start the interview. They got good football players. So it's a typical SEC game. We got to go play well and approach it well, prepare the right way, which I was pleased with this morning's practice.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, thank you. All right.